I remember when Halo Anniversary released on the Xbox 360. One of my favorite games, remastered and redone with beautiful graphics. I was so excited to play it, and as I was playing the first level, I was honestly pretty disappointed with it. I remember thinking, what is this? They've barely done anything to this game. The graphics are really not that much better than the original Xboxes from like 10 years ago. I felt ripped off. And then I hit the select button to go back to the original graphics, and let's just say your memories can play tricks on you. Recently, I had a similar experience with Pac Man World Re-Pac. I remember playing the original Pac Man World as a kid on my friend's PlayStation, just thinking what a great game it was. So I bought the remake and, well, let's talk about it. You know what is as good as you remember it being, though? My videos. So be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Pac Man World is a pretty straightforward platformer. You play as Pac-Man, and your whole Pac family has been kidnapped and taken to different worlds. And it's up to you to go into those worlds and rescue them, and then beat the bad guy. There's 6 worlds in the game, each with just a couple of platforming levels, as well as a boss to play through. While it's technically a 3D platformer, it did feel more like a Crash Bandicoot kind of ripoff, as it had fixed camera perspectives and narrow, lane-like level design. Yes, you're going left to right instead of backwards to forwards, as you did in Crash Bandicoot, but still feels very similar. In true Pac-Man fashion, of course, there are pellets all over the map that you can collect, complete with the OG arcade sound effects. These pellets are useful as you can throw them at enemies to destroy them, or jump on them to get rid of them. Sometimes, though, you run into the Pac-Man ghosts, which you can't hurt unless you find and eat a super pellet, which turns you into a giant, more traditional-looking Pac-Man. Honestly, considering Pac-Man's simple arcade origin, I found it pretty surprising how self-referential it was, and just how many little things there were in the game that I was like, oh, Pac-Man. And while the callbacks and retro sound effects are great, there's not much else in the game that is. All that's left under that Pac-Man sheen is a standard, basic platformer game. It controls fine. It plays fine. Its levels are fine. It's all just fine. There's really nothing special here to make this game stand out like there is in Mario or Crash Bandicoot. The level design also really just ground my gears. The devs seemed to think that backtracking and having it be forced was like a great solution to pad out what is a extremely short runtime. So in each level there's a number of collectibles that you need to find. Fruits, the letters that spell the name Pac-Man, the doors in the levels that you need a specific type of fruit to open. 9 times out of 10, the fruit that opens that door would be found further along in the level. So you would have to continue on when you see one of these doors, find the fruit, and then backtrack to the door to open it. This adds a lot of tedium to the game, and makes levels feel overlong. Most of them felt like they took me 10 to 15 minutes to get through, and it really was not a fun 10 to 15 minutes either. The platforming just is missing that intangible whatever it is that makes the giants of the genre, the Marios, feel just so perfect to control. Also, because of the 3D aspect and the fixed camera angle, it could be really hard at times to gauge where you are when you're trying to jump, and there are some really small precision platforming areas which can just be so annoying to get through. Also, I never threw pellets at enemies unless there was a couple where you can't jump on them, and that itself was frustrating too. The aiming felt very imprecise, and it took so long for Pac-Man to throw the pellets that I would usually get hit by the enemies when I was trying to throw things at them. Once you finally finish a level, you're greeted to a kind of score roundup screen, I guess they thought that people would want to try and score rush this game, similar to the arcade game. So it tallies up all your fruits, it collects all the letters and whatever that you got in the level, and gives you a score. In the levels, there's also these coins that you can collect, and it's here that you get to use them. There's this like slot machine mini game that you are forced to do. If you get 3 of the same kind, you'll get some number of bonus lives. This is just the worst. You play this long level, and then you have this long, unskippable slot machine event after every single level. And of course, this is tedious because you gotta wait, you try and figure out the pattern on the slot and press A in time to get some free lives. And it just takes forever. And honestly, it was never something I wanted to do. I started intentionally avoiding the coins in the levels because I just didn't want to deal with the slot machine at the end of the level. So much of this game feels like it was just put there to pad out and lengthen the game. It's all done so awfully and tediously that I'd just rather the game had been shorter. And it's short already. I finished in like 3.5 hours. I played through the entire game. I got every collectible in every level. And it still felt like a too long of a game. Honestly, it's impressive that they got it to feel that way with how little content there is in the game. One positive I will give the game is its boss battles. Each one is pretty unique from each other, with boss-specific mechanics for taking it down. It is not just the Mario, we're in a little arena, jump on my head 3 times kind of a thing. Each of the bosses feels unique, and like it has unique mechanics. Unfortunately, because of the combat-centric nature of the boss fights, this meant you did have to jump on them, throw things at them, and this is where all the imprecise controls and frustration from the base levels come back into play. So even with the uniqueness to the bosses, they still felt frustrating and were not really that fun to play through. Now, I played the game on the Nintendo Switch and didn't realize that there was an option to switch between a graphics mode and a performance mode. So I was playing the game for about the first 3 or 4 worlds on the graphics mode. This was a mistake. On the Switch at least, I cannot speak for the other platforms, but on the Switch, in graphics mode, the game runs like garbage. Constant frame drops, slowdowns, stutters. Sometimes it just felt like the game was going in slow motion. Really plagued a majority of my playthrough. When I did discover that there was a performance mode and I switched to it, I thought that actually worked pretty well. It felt like the game got a consistent, I think 60 frames a second on the Switch, which is impressive. So I'm not going to hold the graphics mode against the game when it comes to my score. I'm just trying to make you all aware of it because the game did not. I don't know why. Most games, they let you choose at the beginning when you first load in, hey, there's a performance mode or a graphics mode, which one do you want to use? And also, I don't think I've ever seen that on the Switch. I get it on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, where you have these really graphically intensive games. But this is a Pac Man 3D platformer from like the PS1 era. Yes, I know they remade it, but it does not look that impressive. It looks like a basic remaster of an old game. So I don't know how or why it has these graphics and performance modes, and why it's not more clearly marked at the outset to give you the option to switch between them. In addition to it not looking the best, it really does not sound the best. The music is terrible. Absolutely awful. It's just short, repetitive, and unremarkable tracks throughout the entire game. Played it on mute, honestly, for most of it. I did not like the music. So ultimately, Pac Man World Re-Pac is definitely one of those don't meet your heroes type experiences. I remember being a kid and loving this game, playing it with my friends, and was so excited to get back to it, and I didn't like it. I finished it because it is so short, and it's fine, so it's not bad enough that you are miserable playing through it. You're just also not excited like you would be a Mario game. You're not excited to see the next world or see the next level or see what cool things and hidden details and things like that. It's just not there for this game. Sure, if you really want to play Pac-Man for whatever reason, this is an adequate remake, but there are just so many better 3D platformers, especially on the Switch, that why would you spend your time on this game? And for a final rating, I would give the presentation a 2 out of 5, the story a 0 out of 5, the gameplay a 2.5 out of 5, for an overall score of a 2 out of 5, and for value, I would say pass. I spent $20 on this game, and boy do I feel ripped off. It is really not worth it. It's extremely short, not that great, nothing exceptional. It's just totally forgettable. So let's forget about this game, and remember instead the good 3D platformers. But what do you think? Am I wrong? Is this game actually one of the best? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, hit the like button, that's what it's for. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews, and I will see you all with the next video.